Xenophobic attacks have always been an issue in Africa, especially in South Africa, and unfortunately, they are known for this long lasting feature, which someone started around the apartheid era. And it has caused so many people, so many African immigrants, to lose their lives. They've lost their houses, their cars, like all of their belongings, and even experienced things like rape and different violent crimes. Hi guys, and welcome back to Talks with Tumi. If you're new here, please watch this video, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. On this video, I'm actually doing a voiceover and I'm going to be talking about xenophobia towards Nigerians in South Africa, and I'll also touch on gender-based violence in Africa and corruption. In case you're thinking it's not my place to talk about xenophobia or these intense issues because maybe I live in the diaspora and I have nothing to do with this subject matter, I actually do have a lot to do with this subject matter. Not only do we, Nigerians in the diaspora, experience micro and macroaggression due to xenophobic and racist ideas, I'm also a Nigerian woman who would also support her people. Having said that, this channel is a safe space for all Black people around the world, all Africans around the world, and all Black women all over the world. So what caused the outrage was the event that took place in South Africa over the weekend, where in Johannesburg, which is a very large and beautiful city in South Africa, there were riots and destruction of over 50 foreign-owned businesses, and their cars, like all their belongings and businesses, were actually burnt and or looted, and even people were burnt alive. Many Nigerians actually lost their lives. From the news, from my research, about 6 or 7 people have already died from this. And in my mind, the question I always ask myself and ask other people is, when there is an economic misfortune like poverty or joblessness or like low employment rates, why do people not turn to the government? Like, why do they get violent and attack people, especially people of their own race or people who don't have power to change anything? Like, what we're dealing with is not a simple situation. It doesn't only stem from on education, like it stems from corruption, like not the corruption of bribery and extortion. I'm not talking about the high class level of corruption. I'm referring to people taking matters into their own hands due to lack of government intervention and the economy dying. The fear of foreigners coming into your country to take your jobs, craft, and all of that stuff. It's understandable, but is also very like an unrealistic thought. That happens once in a blue moon, but that is not typically the case in South Africa. Think about it as this, which is the fact. The government aids are probably being cut off. There's like little or no job security and privatization of companies. Of course, that would breed unemployment in the country, because foreigners come into your country and they're actually making it happen for themselves doesn't mean they have anything to do with your blessing. It doesn't mean they have anything to do with your life. I never understand how violence is the answer. It is never the answer. And I just believe that it's a very colonial mindset where you're actually blinded by the government. You're blinded by the systematic agenda to keep us poor and to make us turn against each other as a race. It's a colonial mindset. And I saw some comments online where some people came into defense of this, violence happening in South Africa and this barbaric acts. The person said that some Nigerians have actually done a lot of stuff in South Africa. They brought drugs. They've been doing human trafficking. And this is a small percentage of people who do this evil. So why are you stereotyping Nigerians and attacking innocent people? Why are you killing innocent people? Why are you burning innocent people alive? Even if these people did these things, why are you taking matters into your hand? Why aren't you letting the government, the police handle this? Of course, I understand the police is corrupt, but this is another problem we have. This should not justify killing people. Like, it's almost like me saying South Africans are bad people because of xenophobia the Nigerians experience there, or me saying all Americans are bad because of what Trump believes in. Like, the tweet I saw was just proving that this is a hate crime. Like, because you are stigmatizing a whole group of people. You've developed intense fear towards them. You think they would destroy your way of life. They'll potentially take your culture. It's a hate crime. So this is not different from the KKK, in my opinion, because you're terrorizing people. You're taking matters into your hand, and you're categorizing the evil people into a whole group of people. So now some people have actually ran a couple of peaceful protests, but unfortunately, like, a lot of people have now turned against South Africa. A lot of people in Nigeria have turned against South Africa, and there's like a lot of violence now going on, because I know ShopRite is a South African company, I believe. ShopRite is a huge mall in Nigeria, and now people are burning it. People are, I believe MTN as well is a telecommunications company in Nigeria, which is owned by South Africa. So people are like burning the place, they're looting the place, and the police, of course, the Nigerian police, they are killing people. A couple of people have been killed, innocent people that didn't even have much to do with the protest. They are now being killed, and I don't understand what's now going on. Like, everywhere, everyone's now fighting, and I'm so confused, because this is, at first I was thinking, okay, this is what Marx said when he said, I believe he said the low class would fight, then they will come together and overthrow the bourgeoisie. But this doesn't even seem like what's happening. Like, what I'm seeing here is individuals who are just angry, individuals who just they're just using the opportunity to just do whatever they want, take their anger on people. Like, I'm poor, I'm living in poverty, and I'm just going to kill you guys. I'm just going to be angry. You just need to share my pain. And that's exactly what's going on now. It's so confusing how this started, and it has turned into a huge thing. Moving on, I'm going to talk about gender-based violence in Africa. And still in South Africa, a few days ago, a 19-year-old girl named Uyinene Mitiana, I hope I pronounced her name well, she was raped and she was killed earlier this week by a 42-year-old man who has actually now been charged. So she was at the post office to pick up a package when the man lured her to where she thought her package was. He violently hurt her and he eventually killed her. And such violence against women occurs a lot, not only towards girls, but a lot towards old women, like older women, and also the LGBTQ community in Africa. And that's why I identify as a womanist, because our issues are much, much more bigger than what women think in the Western world. Like, we're still fighting for our lives as African women. It really has nothing to do with like equal jobs and pay. It's just stuff like violence, domestic abuse, and rape. Like, it's now a norm. Like, I'm wondering when this painful struggle will end towards women, because we continuously have to remember that even in our country, we are not safe. Like, 1 out of 3 women experience gender-based violence in Africa, and so many young girls get married before the age of 18 years old. This happens so often that we are now desensitized towards such situations, towards such news. And we can't blame the cause of this as maybe like on education or their low economic status or all those stupid themes. No, it is the gender norms. It is the social norms that has emphasized hypermasculinity in our society. Our society continues to socialize men to be controlling, to be unemotional, to be aggressive. Like, they always have to be dominant. Like, they have to prove dominance on women. That's what our society has accepted. And our attitude towards gender inequality is not only about women's pay. Please, spare me that. Please. Women's lives have to be taken seriously. We need to have a different attitude towards domestic abuse. We need to have a different attitude towards rape culture, towards like just brutal forces to women. Now, the life of this young girl has gone just like that. Are you going to say that guy wasn't educated? Of course he was educated. It was just the norm. Being abused, you can either be a survivor or an abuser, right? So the cycle continues. And we need to stop the cycle of destruction, because honestly, it's causing our nation to be destroyed. It's causing the continent to just be trash. Even if we have a lot of good things about us, we have the talent, we have resources, we're on our A game in terms of that. But in terms of our social norms, in terms of getting it right up here in our head, like getting it right socially, no. We've not reached there yet. And to our corrupt leaders in Africa, especially in Nigeria, I hope one day you wake up and realize that all these bad things happening to the citizens and the people around you, it would also happen to your generation. It's not a curse or anything, but you can be responsible for the death of people and for the sufferings of people and expect everything to go fine with yourself and with your generation and people to come even after your generation. It's not possible. Like, people are being killed every day, people are dying, laws are not being made. When you have the right, you have the power to change laws for the betterment of the country, to change laws to protect your citizens. But meanwhile, you're making deals with other countries that do not benefit us, does not benefit the country, does not benefit any of your citizens, but you're happy about it. You're living your life. You do not respond to when things like this are happening only if people start calling you out. That is not a precedent. That is not the kind of leaders we want. We don't want leaders that ignore us. We don't want leaders that don't care. We don't want leaders that travel out of the country unaware of what's happening in the country. We don't want people like that. For our President Buhari, we wonder what you've done for us. We wonder what you've done to help us. Let's list one thing you've done to help Nigerians since you entered the office. One thing that is obvious to citizens, that citizens will be like, at least you did this, thank you. List one thing. He's also waiting because he doesn't know. He hasn't done anything. He hasn't done anything that he could say for a fact, beat his chest, that he has done to help us. Absolutely nothing. Well, this is actually a learning lesson for people who want to go into politics, people who actually want to change Africa. I think you should learn, and you shouldn't also succumb to how our leaders are right now. I feel like if you're going to be in the office, you should be motivated to do that change, no matter the influence that would be around you or the people that will try to change your mind. Always remember that the people come first. Always remember that these people don't have power and they don't have resources. Of course, there are a lot of successful people in Nigeria. Like I said before, we're very successful in so many things we do. There are a lot of rich people in Nigeria, and majority of us, I believe we're actually middle class. However, a lot of people, a whole percentage of people are also poor people. A whole lot of people are also low class people, because we're a lot. Do me a favor and check the population of Nigeria. We're a lot of people. So imagine having so many of those low class people not having the resources they need, not having enough to feed themselves and their family daily, being killed, being kidnapped. The leaders need to stand up to do something, because honestly, I'm tired of talking about the situation. This is the same thing I've been talking about since I was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. And it's still happening right now. It's unbelievable. Anyway, I'm done ranting. My heart does go out to the family and friends of Uyinene. May her soul rest in peace, and also the lives of the people who suffered violence, the victims of those who suffered violence in South Africa and in Nigeria. In conclusion, this is not what our ancestors wanted. This is not what they practiced. They did not tolerate such acts. I'm referring to when women were kings, when they made laws to protect the community, when men and women worked together, when society lived in harmony. Of course, we did have conflict, but this is before the colonizers came, before the Europeans came to Africa, when hypermasculinity wasn't toxic to women, to children, and to society. Fela said it. He said we need to love each other despite the history we have. Like the whole Africa, the whole black people, we all need to love each other. Why can't we see that is the only way we could overthrow the people? We're only making neo-colonizers happy when we're fighting each other. They know when we come together, it will be easy for us to overthrow them. It will be easy for us to overthrow their ideas, their disgusting and stupid ideas. And lastly, I'll just advise you, wherever you are, please support your local businesses. For real. Support them. So guys, I really just wanted to do an informative and educative video on this one. Thank you so much for your patience, and thank you for listening to everything I had to say. If this is your space and you want to comment, feel free to do so. If you don't really know much about the topic, you could do some research and feel free to comment as well. If it's not your space and you don't have anything positive to say about Africa or about the conversation, please feel free not to comment. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Please like, please subscribe and share. I love you very much, and I'll bring my beautiful face back on my next video. Bye.